I walked into the bedroom and without hesitation knocked unconscious the man lying beside my unfaithful wife. I bound them both tightly, pulled out a syringe, and told them, "This is filled with a deadly toxin. You'll have 30 minutes to tell me everything. If you do, maybe I'll give you the antidote." Their faces drained of color as I switched on the camera. People say the moment your world shatters is something you never forget. Every detail brands itself into your memory. The sights, the smells, even the way the air clings to your skin. For me, it was the faint fragrance of lavender candles mixed with the soft murmur of jazz music floating through the hall. On the surface, everything felt ordinary. But deep inside, I already knew something wasn't right. I had just returned from an 18-hour shift at the hospital. Being an emergency doctor meant living in a cycle of blood, adrenaline, and exhaustion, saving lives, patching up broken bodies, and coming home late to a wife who always claimed she understood. We had been married for 7 years, and until recently, I believed we were happy. Sure, lately things had grown strained. Less conversation, more excuses, her phone always lying face down. But I told myself it was my hours, my fatigue, just a rough patch we'd get through. Turns out, I was the only one fighting. Dragging my weary body up the stairs, I heard it. A soft breath. A quick laugh. Her laugh, but not the one I knew. This one was lighter, playful. Then came the low murmur of a man's voice. I froze. My mind rejected it. It had to be the TV or her on the phone with a friend. Anything but what it truly was. But deep down, I already knew. My heartbeat roared in my ears as I took a breath and pushed the door open. The first thing I saw was skin. Bare skin, twisted sheets, tangled limbs. Then her eyes, wide with panic. She gasped and scrambled for cover. Beside her was a stranger in my bed, his face half buried in the pillows. And me? I just stood there numb. Time slowed. I noticed everything. The candles she lit for him, the wine glasses on my nightstand, the sheets I bought now wrapped around another man. I should have yelled, should have spoken. But all I could do was stare as the life I knew fell apart. The man made his first mistake then. He moved, sitting up in confusion. Something inside me snapped. Before I realized it, I lunged. My fist smashed into his jaw, the crack of bone echoing. He didn't have time to react before I grabbed his throat and slammed him against the headboard. The bed rattled violently as his head whipped back. My wife screamed, "John, stop." But I didn't. Because this wasn't some accident. He was a choice. Her choice. And they were both going to pay for it. I don't know if I was thinking irrationally or clearer than I ever had. My eyes shifted to my work bag by the door. Inside wasn't just equipment to save lives, but tools that could do something else. I released him, letting him slump back, groaning. Slowly, I walked to my bag, unzipped it, and pulled out a syringe. The moment she saw it, my wife went ghost white. "John, what are you doing?" she whispered. I held it up, rolling it between my fingers, my voice steady. "This," I said, "is a powerful neurotoxin." Her lover's eyes widened with terror. I sat at the edge of the bed, watching them writhe. "Here's how it works," I explained slowly. "Once injected, you'll have 30 minutes before full paralysis sets in. Then your organs start shutting down, one by one." My wife trembled. He made a strangled sound. I smiled and reached back into my bag, pulling out a small vial of clear liquid. "But don't worry, there's an antidote." Both of their eyes snapped toward it. I placed it on the nightstand between the wine glasses. "Now," I said, "you're going to tell me everything. The whole truth." I lifted my phone, turned the camera on, and locked eyes with their pale, shaking faces. "Start talking." The room grew hotter, tighter, thick with sweat and fear. Lisa sat frozen, clutching the sheets like they could protect her. Matt leaned against the headboard, one hand cradling his bleeding nose, pain etched across his face. And me? I sat with the syringe in hand, my pulse thundering in my ears. The fury still burned, but alongside it came a darker thought. How far was I truly willing to go? I had spent years saving lives, and now, for the first time, I had power over whether someone lived or died. And the disturbing truth? I didn't hate the feeling. Talk, I ordered. Neither of them moved. Lisa's lip trembled, but she stayed silent. Matt's eyes flicked between me and the syringe, his chest rising and falling in panic. I tilted the needle, letting a drop of liquid drip onto the sheets. He choked out a desperate sound. Okay, please let me explain, he begged. I turned to Lisa. She stayed silent, her face drained, her knuckles white as she gripped the sheets. Lisa, I said evenly, do you want him to take all the blame, or are you ready to tell me the truth? Her throat tightened. John, she faltered, her breathing shaky. I never meant to hurt you. A bitter laugh escaped me. Really? Because you didn't seem too concerned about that a few minutes ago. Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt nothing. How long? I asked. Lisa shut her eyes, her throat tightening as she searched for the word she'd been holding back. 6 months, she finally breathed. My jaw tightened. I had suspected something was wrong, but hearing it spoken aloud sent a pain through my chest I didn't know was possible. I turned toward Matt. And you? I demanded. He froze, and I leaned closer, pressing the tip of a syringe lightly against his bare skin. I didn't inject, not yet. Just enough to make him jolt. 6 months, I swear, he shouted. Why? I growled. Lisa exhaled shakily. John, you were never home, she whispered. You cared more about work than about me. That pierced deeper than I'd expected. I had prepared myself for excuses for finger-pointing, but not that. My fist tightened. So your answer was to sleep with one of my colleagues? I shot back. Lisa flinched. I was lonely, John, her voice cracked. I tried to talk to you. I tried to tell you. But I felt like I didn't matter anymore. I stared at her. The rage stayed, but for the first time, I noticed it, the uncertainty in her eyes, as if she didn't fully understand why she'd done it. Like she had convinced herself it was a reason, when deep down she knew it was only an excuse. I turned back to Matt. And you? Was she just convenient? His lips quivered. I don't know, man. It wasn't supposed to turn out like this. I swear. I let out a slow breath, the syringe heavy in my hand. For a moment, I pictured driving the needle into his flesh, watching his body seize, Lisa screaming, and me finally feeling some form of justice. But another thought slipped in, one I hadn't expected. Would it even help? Would it erase the betrayal? Would it make me whole again? Or would it just leave me someone else, drowning in regret? My fingers twitched on the syringe. Lisa's breath hitched. Matt sobbed, choking. And then I did the most terrifying thing of all. I smirked. Slowly, I lifted the syringe and in one sharp motion stabbed it into the mattress. Lisa gasped. Matt cried out in panic. I pulled it out empty, then picked up a small glass vial from the nightstand, the so-called antidote. Tossing it onto the bed between them, I said, You can have this. Lisa caught it, hands trembling violently. It's just a symbol, I told her. Her wide eyes shot up to mine, horror spreading. There was never any poison, she whispered. Of course not, I finished for her, smirking. I'm a doctor, Lisa. I save lives. A strangled sob tore from her throat. Matt looked like he might faint. I grabbed my phone, stopped the recording, and rose without another word. I walked out, leaving them tied to my bed, drowning in guilt and terror. The house felt different now, quieter. But not the peaceful quiet of Lisa curled up on the couch, waiting for me. This was the silence that follows destruction. Hollow. Empty. A quiet that made me wonder, what now? For hours, I had been consumed by fury, humiliation, and the hunger for revenge. But now, with them shattered and trapped in the mess they'd made, I had to ask myself, did I feel any better? I sat in the kitchen, clutching my phone, staring at the video I'd just recorded. Lisa sobbing, desperate, watching her world collapse. Matt pale, trembling, knowing his career, reputation, and life hung in my hands. And me standing there watching. I should have felt satisfaction. I should have felt something. Instead, only emptiness gnawed at me, because nothing could undo what they had done. I opened my messages, scrolling to a familiar name, Dr. Marcus Reed, Chief of Surgery. My boss. Matt's boss. A man with zero tolerance for betrayal. I hesitated. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was wiping Matt from my world entirely. I pressed send. The video vanished into cyberspace. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. Marcus, Jesus Christ. John, is this real? Me, every second of it. Marcus, he's finished. It was almost too quick, too easy, almost disappointing. But Matt didn't know his life was already over. I walked back upstairs. Lisa sat on the edge of the bed, eyes red and swollen. Matt sat in shock, staring blankly at the floor. Both looked up as I entered. John, Lisa's voice broke. She started to rise, reaching for me, as though something between us might still remain. I raised a hand. Don't. She flinched. I can fix this, she whispered. I laughed, bitter and hollow. You can't even fix yourself. Her lip trembled. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I tilted my head. How long, Lisa? She swallowed hard. Almost a year. A year. While I was killing myself at work, building a future for us, she was sneaking around, convincing herself she had a reason. I exhaled. Tell me, Lisa, was it worth it? Her tears spilled over. No. But no answer could undo the wreckage. I reached for the nightstand and picked up a folder. Lisa's eyes followed, confused. What is that? Divorce papers, I said, dropping them in front of her. Already filed. Her breath caught. You had these ready? I had them drafted an hour ago. Her hands shook as she touched the papers. John, please. I don't want this. I let out a slow, weary breath. Lisa, you lost me a long time ago. She collapsed into silent sobs. I didn't stay. I left the room, walked downstairs, and opened the front door. Moments later, Lisa followed, still in her robe, trembling. Matt trailed behind, too ashamed to meet my eyes. I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. Time to go. Lisa hesitated. John, where am I supposed to go? I shrugged. Not my problem. Her face fell. She had burned every bridge. Matt muttered under his breath and stepped out first, barefoot, humiliated, vanishing into the cold night. Lisa lingered, turning back with one last desperate look. Do you really hate me now? She whispered. I stared for a long moment before answering. I feel nothing for you anymore. That broke her more than hate ever could. And as she walked out of my life forever, I didn't stop her. Not this time. Matt lost his job, his reputation, his future. Lisa was left with nothing. No money, no home, no stability. I walked away with everything. And yet, sitting alone in that quiet, empty house, I realized revenge had given me justice, but not peace. And maybe it never would. John got his revenge. But at what cost? Did he truly win, or lose a piece of himself along the way? Was this justice, or too far? Tell us what you think in the comments. We want to hear your take. And if you love shocking revenge stories, hit subscribe and smash the like button for more twists you won't want to miss. Every like, share, and subscription means the world to us. It keeps us bringing you the stories you crave. Thank you for being part of our community.